following a script. It was just building genuine conversation with people. And what I noticed about them was that they were, by observing them, they were mentoring me. I was allowing myself to be mentored. And I could see that their conversations that they were building in the networking events were just very, very natural conversations and showing interest in who they were speaking with. So I thought, oh, this is not as bad as I thought. So actually just being there in the physical events, I realized, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was, because you go into a room, you see a lot of people talking already, and you think, oh no, what do I say?
All right, Shazad, we're all done. All right, so look, guys, we're going to go into the next part of our show this morning, where literally we're going to be all about the pursuit of success. You like this background? Look at that.
It's different.
It's different, right? It's different. I'm gonna see how it works. All right, so guys, this is the pursuit of success section. Well done, Shazad, for winning the morning coffee question today. But let's get into it. Let's get into today's pursuit of success. All right, and here's where it gets really interesting, because last week we spoke about the importance of having a mentor, right? We said that many times we could be at a place in our journey in the pursuit of success where there may be a gap, and we need to fill it with a mentor, someone who can kind of instruct us, give us confidence in where that we need to go. But sometimes we can be proud. Sometimes we're just too over the top, and we're like, I don't need nobody's help, but even we see that even in the faith, like Solomon, the wisest man, was wise enough to know that they don't know about the sea or anything like that, and they got people who were specialized in that to deal with that, and they kept growing, they kept expanding. You gave some other great examples of what Solomon did. So we understood the value of having a mentor, and you gave your journey about going out there, putting yourself forward, going to these events. It's like someone holding your hand for you to know what to do to connect with people, because we need to connect if we want to grow and develop things. It doesn't matter if we need stock, if it doesn't matter if we need premises, doesn't matter whatever we're trying to do, we're going to need to connect with people if we want to grow and develop it and do business with people, or grow something even as an employee and to develop ourselves. All right, so today what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the next bit after we know we need a mentor. It's like, how do we connect with people? What do I do? What do I say? So we're going to be looking at a few things today. Ain't that right, Selena?
That's correct. Yep.
So I think the first thing, if we're talking about our listeners today, depending on where we are, some people are just confident and they're very articulate. They can go out there and they can be very social with people. But there are some that their thing is, fear, right? How do I prepare myself? What do I do? You know what I mean? That would be before they even go and do. It's a case of where do I start? How do I prepare myself? So what have you got for us, Super Lady?
So when it came to networking, as I was saying last week, networking for me started in the United States. Now, I was someone who, like I was saying before, I was very afraid of bold. Well, I wouldn't say not too afraid, but I didn't know how to talk with people who were very bold, very confident, very assured of themselves. And I used to kind of avoid people like that because I wasn't that. So if I would confront or talk with people like that, it would bring out my shyness. I'd be stuck for words, or you kind of stumble on your words. So I would just think, I just don't want to be around people like that. Now, the funny thing was, and the way that God works, was that the mentors that I had were experts at networking. One of them had a networking business where she connected local businesses together. So I joined her group because I wanted to know American people. When I moved out there, I just knew people who were from abroad like me. So I wanted to know Americans. So I would say the easiest way for me to do that was to join a group where there's American people. And when I joined the networking group, I kind of hung around with the leader, the founder, because she was just so bold, bold, just confident in speech. The way that she approached people was amazing. So I just kind of went to events with her, and I had another mentor as well. So I went to events with him as well, and I would just listen to what they would say. That was how I broke into it. So I would just listen to how they would speak, how they would introduce themselves. And at that time, I was extremely nervous.
Okay.
So
that's quite interesting. So I gave those of you on the Breakfast Show, we sent that clip, that meme, how I came to the help center and how I am today, right? And the thing, and it has a cat with a bandage on its head, and the other one's a lion. And so right now, that time is concerning networking. So you were very courageous in different things. I know that you were, you got your boldness, but when it came to networking, expanding this particular area of your life, your standards needed to have grown, like we learned in the morning Fearless Motivation piece, right? And you was still a cat. When it came to the professional aspect of networking, you were still a cat. And so what you I think you stumbled upon, maybe because the environment kind of led you in there, right? Is that okay? I'm gonna look for people. I'm gonna observe people who have what I want. Yes. Right, like Isaac, I think 2 weeks ago was on the show, and his thing was character. He needed to change his character, so he identified people who had characteristics that he wanted for himself, and he would observe that, and he would work on that. So professionally now, you're like, okay, this is how these people are. This is how they speak. Okay, let me level myself up. So watching. Yes, yeah.
So I was watching them, and I was listening to them, and I realized that they were not actually following a script. It was just building genuine conversation with people. And what I noticed about them was that they were, by observing them, they were mentoring me. I was allowing myself to be mentored. And I could see that their conversations that they were building in the networking events were just very, very natural conversations and showing interest in who they were speaking with. So I thought, this is not as bad as I thought. So actually just being there in the physical events, I realized, it's not as bad as I thought it was, because you go into a room, you see a lot of people talking already, and you think, oh no, what do I say? But because I went with people who were already experienced, I was able to learn that way. Like you said, there are some people who are just naturally just bold and, they're just confident. I wasn't like that at all. So I needed someone to kind of hold my hand. That's what I needed. So when I observed and I listened, I thought, okay, Selena, now I'm going to absorb all of this and work with it by myself.
Here's an interesting thing as well, right? Because many times we want to become more professional in what we do, but yet we still surround ourselves with people who have a different standard of professionalism, right? Maybe we still have, obviously, because we're in the faith environment, we're very particular about who surrounds us, right? But the thing about it is, for you to raise your standards, you brought yourself into a new arena, a new environment. When you say this, I think about the Apostle Paul in the Bible, right? That he was someone that he had been mixing with different people. He even, there's a passage about it that, to the wise he made himself wise, to the foolish he made himself foolish, to, do you know what I mean? The unlearned he made himself unlearned. And so depending on what mission or objective that he had, he would work within that particular environment. He would set his standard to work among that type of environment. He wouldn't lower his standards to start becoming a blasphemer or anything like that. No, but in terms of the class of people where he needed to work, so that was his environment. So maybe listeners, you have people that their standards in a professional aspect are not where this could be a lot higher. You want to reach higher, you have the intention of your mind to reach higher, but you keep surrounding yourself with people where you are at this current point in your life. We need to start networking. That's what Gene is showing us. We need to start networking and be brave enough to raise the standards in our people that surround us.
Yeah, and that's so true, because what I heard in the US, and it said everywhere, that your network is your net worth. That's become very common now, but it's so true in terms of business, who your circle is and who you associate with in business. Yeah. And this is where the power of networking is so important, is because someone that might know someone else that you need, or you may have the contact that someone else needs. So there's that circle that's created where your business and who you are can be recommended within your circle. And I saw a lot of that in the States, and decided to do the same thing here. Now back in the States, I started to continue going to networking events before COVID. And there was a lot of events. And as I kept going, I got more confidence to go by myself. So I was no longer needing to hold the hand of my mentors anymore. I could go by myself. By that time, I'd already built, I would say, an intention to build relationships with people. Okay. That was really my intention.
Here's an interesting word you just said: intention.
Yeah.
Nothing changes without intention.
Yeah.
Nothing. Doesn't matter whatever area in our life, it doesn't change without intention. What's my intention? So, if we want to change our environment, we want to go to the next level and develop our lives. So everything I'm saying is something that this is going for me as well. This goes for all of us, right? It has to be intentional. We will not just flow into it. We will not just glide into it. We can go to a networking meeting and we can hope that the situation will carry us into a conversation with someone that can open an effective door. But sometimes we need to approach with, I'm going to speak to this person. I've seen enough now.
That's right.
Now I need to speak to this person with intention, because this is where I need things to go. Right.
Yes, because what can push your intention is your actual situation. I was really tired of being a cat because nothing was happening to me. Nothing was happening. And you can't, and as a cat, you're waiting for people to come to you. And nothing changes.
Oh,
and that's
horrible.
Where I was so tired of my life was just dry. And I said, oh, no, I need to change, because just nothing, no flavor will happen if I don't go out and speak to people. I was just tired of it.
Can I just say something? Like, what you're saying, I'm just thinking about those of you in faith, when you're evangelizing, right? Sometimes people evangelize that you're standing there, like you have something to present to people to let them know about the great thing that's happening at your help center, or whatever you're doing. And you stand there hoping to find that happy person that will come and say, oh, I would love to have a leaflet, and people just pass. But usually, have you noticed that your best times of being an evangelist is when you actually say, you know what, I'm going to go and speak to this person. I'm not concerned with what they look like, and you go. Intention. Right? And that was like your best time. You come back leaving glowing, walking on clouds, right? So that's a nice, good example there, right?
Yes, because we have a lot of self-limiting thoughts. Or how am I going to be? How am I going to say this?
How are they going to receive
me? What will the person say? Yes. How are they going to react? And then you don't want to be offended, so you keep safe by not saying anything. But you don't achieve anything from that. And in these networking events, I believe God could see that my intention was to change and to grow. but I had to be kind of thrown, I had to throw myself in that situation. I had to do it. There was there was only so long I could hold the hand of my mentors for, there was only so long until I had to go on my own.
So there's a time for everything.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, definitely.
Because sometimes we like to act like we're the newcomer. We're the baby. We're still on milk. No, seriously, like it just.
Yeah.
So we don't assume responsibility. We want to be do you know what I mean? But there's a time when we need to go on to solid food. And it has to happen with intention when it comes to us developing ourselves and anything that we're doing, where we take ownership. Like you say, I don't want to stay as I was, still holding people's hand and watching. No, stop that. If I want progress, I need to take ownership of this tense. It's my life on the line here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it happens once you see yourself overcome that hurdle. You're like, oh, I can do it. You start, the confidence starts to build from within, and you think, oh, yeah, I can actually. It's not as bad as I thought. So that's where I started to the boldness started to grow.
Okay, so we asked the question, preparing yourself to go and approach anybody, the marketing, a mentor, whatever, so what I've got here is one thing to help to build your confidence up or to overcome the fear is to place yourself in events and watch people doing what you want to do, right? Do whatever you do it with intention. The intention of why you're there, the intention of why you'll speak to someone, and the other thing is, there has to be a time for you to say, look, now let me go and do this, to be bold enough to step forward by yourself, right?
Yes. Now, by that time, you should have already known your service or what you're offering well. You should have known it by that time. So, if it's to introduce your business at an event, you should know your business well enough that what you say will naturally come out.
So
because you know it very well.
So let's take Nosifo from South Africa, for example. The reason why, because she's on the broadcast line of the breakfast show, I get to see people's status to see what they're doing. And Nosifo, I've seen doing cakes. She does some really good cakes there in South Africa, all right? And so you need to be able to communicate what you do, communicate, with energy, right? Because that transmits to people your service, why you're passionate about your service, etc.
That's correct. Yes, because then because you know it so well, you saw it, you created it, so and you obviously tested it. You know it so well that what you say will just naturally come out. So, for example, with cakes, it may be that your cakes taste so good that you want to offer samples to people for people to try, and just their reaction of going, "That tastes good," will then open up, a deal, possibly a deal, or they'll want to buy from you. So it's really knowing your service well. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right, and would you say knowing, I know you said that these people who you was watching, they didn't have no script, right? But I believe they'd been in the game for a very long time, so at that point they probably wouldn't need a script anyway. But even writing down what you intend to cover or to share, do you think that's a good way of preparation as well?
Yes, definitely. Yes, that helped me. I would say you practice your pitch. So I did that. I wrote down how I was going to introduce myself and talk about my business, and I spoke out loud. I read it out.
Yeah, you have to rehearse.
I read it out. Yeah, I rehearsed, and I also spoke with others to see what their opinion was as well. People you could trust, people you could talk to and see how it sounded. So to get other people's opinions was important for me, because I could have been missing something, or I could have changed the language in some way. So I did practice and I did rehearse. When it came to the actual events, it didn't always happen that way. it just depends on what event you're going to. Mm-hmm. But I think what's really important is the intention of why you're going. Mm-hmm. And if it's to get a client, there's a certain way that you will introduce yourself. If it's just to meet people and build your contacts, and some people just want to just see what's going on. Wow. so it really does depend.
I've got one. So I've got a pitch here. I've got here. Hi, my name is Robert Ashite. Basically, I specialize in new ways of cooking our traditional foods without using no oil, no water, no steam. And what that does, it helps us to stay away from lifestyle illnesses and help to get more nutrition in our food. Yep. So like Buduf, right? That's it.
Yeah, so straight to the point.
Straight to the point, very clear. I know what it is and I could just drop it like that.
That's right. That was straight to the point. Now, that could be, for example, post-COVID now, a lot of networking events are online, on Zoom.
Yeah.
So what you'll find, if you have a really good host, now we're talking about at the actual event. If you have a really good host, will kind of break the ice and say, hello, I'm host of, whatever networking event it is. And then they will say, we're going to go around now and introduce ourselves. So your pitch would be really good for that. If it's if you're having to introduce yourself, that is really, really good. And also it's good. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like, so somebody says, what do you do? Poof.
That's
right?
It. Yeah.
That's it. You could drop it with confidence.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent.
So that's really good for online as well. And if you're pitching your business as well for new clients, if you're at an in-person event, it's really good to research the event and find out who's going to be there prior to when you go, so that you can get a heads up on what type of event it will be, and you've already got an agenda. You've got a list of who you want to speak to. So you can actually research that company or that person, find out a bit about them.
So we're going to come to that. We're going to continue with that, all right? This researching bit is really important, okay? I think this is a huge part and it's a big part. But just so that everybody can digest what we've spoken about so far, we're going to go into some more music. And just to catch up quickly with the live chat, we have Michelle saying powerful for VYG and Bullring. We have Tyler saying, I have been a hawker stalker this morning, but good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tyler. Good to have you with us. Chanel says, thank you for sharing, Selena. Staying as a cat is a choice. Being a lion just needs a person to be brave. Absolutely. Right. I love the sound of that.
Absolutely love that. That's strong.
We are lions. We are lions. All right. And Shazad says, thank you, Selena Green. Your advice has been so helpful. And Janet says, please do not use the word basically ever, Robert. Did I say basically?
You might have.
I might have. I didn't. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
That's interesting, actually. That is really interesting.
That is, isn't it? Because I don't usually consider myself saying the word basically, but I think I might have been having a bit of brain fog, and that's the one that you pull out when you're having a bit of brain fog.
Yeah, that's actually really good. I actually like that tip, because some people say literally a lot.
Yeah.
I hear it a lot, and I think, oh, please stop.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So true. But you know what? Basically, sometimes in life, we basically need to I know. Look, guys, we're learning with each other. This is your breakfast show. It is a Tuesday. It's the pursuit of success. We've got Selena Green on the line here, and we have gone from mentoring to sharing some tools on how to network, to connect with the people that you need to help you to take you to the next level, or to open that extra effective door. We're going to go into a song right now. I don't know if you had a song that you wanted us to play, Selena. Is there a song that you wanted us to play, or or you're all good? You trust me?
Oh, do you know, I didn't prepare anything. No, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. All right. So, guys, we're going to go into Waters by Junior Carr. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you're ingesting all these wonderful nuggets that's been shared with us today. We'll be right back in just a moment on your breakfast show.
Come back to the water.
We're going to have a good day today, guys. This is your breakfast show. Just want to say I wish Tyler have a great day this morning as you go to your workplace. I know you've held in there as long as you could. I also want to say, Jeanette says, well, basically, I always thought people use the word basically to sound intelligent, and I think it does the opposite. Okay. All right. Basically. All right, guys, but we're here now with Selena Green, and we're dealing with the subject of connecting with people, networking. All right. And just before the time out, we touched on some very interesting topics on preparing yourself before, like how to prepare before, watching people. When you speak to people, know the intention of why you're at the event. You know, watch people who have qualities that you have, how they connect with people. Understand there's a time for everything. Don't see yourself as a person who's always going to be there watching. You know, there has to be a time when you step forward to make those connections yourself. We have to require this from ourselves. Know your service. Know what you have to offer. Right? Write down an elevated pitch. It's very helpful to know what you're going to say and how you're going to articulate it, so you can drop it with confidence, and practice in secret, so you can be honored openly. Yes or no, sis?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
And sometimes you'll have a host to give you an icebreaker, but other than that, you was talking about researching, being a bit of a spy, a 007 concerning particular people.
Yeah, that worked for me very well. So last week I went to the UK Black Business Show. Now, I knew about this show for months. I was actually meant to go to it last year, and it got cancelled. So what did I do this year? I looked online. I went to see the program of the event, and I thought, okay, who's going to exhibit there that I may want to speak to? So I looked through everybody, and I picked out those people that I wanted to go and see. Okay. When I went, I found out where they were going to be, and I went over to them. But I'd researched them before. Some I actually already knew of already, but I picked out those who I really wanted to speak with, and then that was what made it easier for me to actually go up to them and say, hi, my name is Selena. I'm a virtual business assistant, and I do this, and this. And you actually give them the space to speak first. So I didn't go in there straight away and say, oh, I'm Selena, blah, 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 blah. I wanted to find out about them first and gave them the space to speak. Okay. To speak first, yeah? I think you touched on it before about taking an interest in them, right? Because you would have researched about them, so you're taking an interest in the person, in the individual, and what they've done, right? Yeah, that's right. When they see that you are showing interest, that's when they really will start to open up. That doesn't necessarily mean that a business, it can happen. If a business deal is not done there, at least you have contact with them. Yeah. So they'll remember you because you've shown interest in their business. You've spoken about their services, and then naturally they will ask you the same. You know what's interesting is that this whole thing of keeping in contact afterwards. Sometimes this can be my particular weak point. Because usually I get along with people and we hit off very, very well. But sometimes because I'm always juggling other things, sometimes I'm not so strong with the follow-up that needs to come up. And when I've done a follow-up, it's always very positive. It always goes very well. But sometimes because I'm always next mission, I miss out on this one. Yeah. So for example, after you've spoken with that person and you've exchanged business cards or you've you've joined their mailing list, because that's what they want, because obviously they want business too. So they are going to ask to stay in connection with you as well. So it may be through their mailing list. It may be that they just ask you for your business card. One thing that I did was which was slightly different from what I normally do, is I didn't take business cards with me. Firstly, because I knew who I wanted to speak with anyway.
Okay.
But I went with a different approach, and I said, well, I don't have business cards today. I'm saving the environment with paper, and I can just give you my LinkedIn profile.
There you go. You go.
And one of the people that I spoke to was shocked, because he thought, oh, I wasn't expecting that. But I said, no, I'm saving the environment. So I just gave them my LinkedIn name, and they connected with me that way. And it was really nice, because everything now is digital. So all of my posts and things I do will come up on their feed. So they will not forget me. Wow.
I haven't invested in LinkedIn. I haven't invested time to know it. I haven't invested, but you're definitely, Maurice has been echoing this for a long time as well.
Yeah,
so you would recommend, if we're looking to grow something, that we should be integrated into LinkedIn?
Take advantage of LinkedIn.
Oh, so take advantage. So don't even use it in LinkedIn, but take advantage. So you're missing out if you don't have LinkedIn. That's what you're telling us.
It's brilliant, because when you know how to use it is when you'll really like it. And the reason why I didn't like LinkedIn before is because I just didn't know how to use it. So once I started to follow a checklist and watch tutorials on it, was then, oh, I like LinkedIn now. And I learned all the features that are not quite obvious. But when you learn the details of LinkedIn, you'll be amazed at how your profile gets noticed a lot more.
So you're saying to us that we need to pay attention to LinkedIn and start to use the services that we have around us, maybe YouTube videos, maybe conferences, so we can take time out to specialize in investing in knowing how LinkedIn works.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one thing I just wanted to go back to really quickly was there are different ways to network. So now we have a lot of online events. We have a lot of Zoom events. And if you're joining a Zoom meeting for the first time and you're networking, what's nice is the preparation stage is really nice, because they're not going to see, they're only going to see your face on the screen. So two things that I take advantage of is the chat. So I put my website and my name and what I do in the chat. And I also stick Post-it notes around my screen. So they can't see the... Yeah. So this is a Zoom meeting that, like just for like an event Zoom meeting that people post and share? Yeah. If you're joining a networking event on Zoom, I put, and you're really like, oh my goodness, I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. Stick your Post-it notes around your screen. They can't see them, but you can. That's true.
Yeah, we really need to take advantage of this whole, multimedia social world, right?
Eventbrite is very good for finding good events. Yeah. So
okay, you know what? I think. Okay, because we're gonna have to stop now because we've literally run out of time. But I think we need to kind of have. I think the word you said earlier was intention, right? If I'm a person that says I want to grow things for my life, I want to develop things, I want to create good professional networks, right? We need with intention to say, look, I'm going to start working on LinkedIn. I'm going to separate time in my schedule to do this. I'm going to look out for Zoom meetings of training and development. I will separate my time to do this, because many times we're just on like Netflix or something else anyway, or just browsing social media for recreational purposes, you know what I mean? But we can actually integrate these habits and these behaviors in order to better ourselves professionally.
So you just block out some time in your calendar. Maybe it's going to be on a Thursday morning or Thursday or in your lunch break. Just investing that time in LinkedIn or another social media network to join, to network and build your business that way. Yeah.
Selena, you are absolutely awesome.
By God's grace and help.
I didn't think she expected that. I mean, you are awesome. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for taking the time out to share this with us. And I think, I could see that you've got a lot more that you want to share with us, and hopefully we can continue this conversation, right?
Can we drop the challenge for them very quickly?
Yes, drop the challenge.
Yeah,
I love that. Yes,
I think what's really good for the Liberty family, if you've never been to a networking event or you want to, do more networking, is to find challenge is to find a networking group, either online, go to a networking event in person, or join a Facebook group that's linked to what your business is about.
Okay, so that's the challenge.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
That's
okay.
the challenge.
If we don't get Nabaré next week, we want to find out what people have done with that challenge. Yeah. And those of you who are up for the challenge, let us know, because we're going to be sharing with you a slide that you can put on your mobile phone, which helps us to understand and remind us about open and closed questions, which are powerful, which is a powerful piece of knowledge when we're going out there and interacting with people and growing our network. Okay. Yes. Well, Selena, thank you so much for that challenge, guys. Let's go out there.
Thank you for having me again.
You are absolutely awesome. I have to just say that. God bless you. And I want to thank you as well, dear listeners, for joining us this morning on the show. Jeanette says, I have been approached so many times just by being in LinkedIn for jobs.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Sometimes the door is just in front of us and we just need to be aware of it.